Small Show, where we give you straight talk with no chaser. Here, we discuss issues from the White House to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show. Today is Monday, May the 17th. Already, we're close to Memorial Day. Listen, today the show will only be 1 hour. This got some campaign things to do like immediately after. So my apologies. Today is 1 hour and we will not be on tomorrow because I start the day at 8:30. So I will only be able to give you guys a half an hour. But let's hurry up and get to it for today's show. So I don't know if a couple of you have heard the restrictions to wear masks have been lifted on Saturday. Our numbers are still high. Listen, I know some people believe this whole narrative about being vaccinated means that you're fully immune. No, it just means that you're fully vaccinated. I would suggest, please, just like be cautious. You know what I mean? If you're not going to wear a mask, you're not going to wear a mask. But if you're not wearing a mask just because they're simply saying that they lifted that executive order, I would suggest you think twice and do your research and wear a mask because this is dangerous. And let's not forget what's going on over there in India. Listen, they don't have a vaccination for that mess yet, and they still letting people come back and forth, even here to Michigan. So let them get some control under this whole virus thing before you start to get so carefree. We don't need a whole flock of people passing away again. That's the only reason why I'm mentioning it. I do think that it's extremely risky not to wear a mask and they don't have any control, especially these numbers. We have not flattened the curve. So keep that in mind. That's one thing. I wonder if some of y'all who out here smoking marijuana, y'all still passing the marijuana to each other? Like, how does that work out during the pandemic? Or are you not sharing anymore because you don't want to catch the COVID? Just a question that I have. So listen, was it yesterday or Saturday? I can't remember when I read this. Maybe it was yesterday. There's an article in the Detroit News about the Detroit Future Cities did a study. And they're saying that the middle class growth has been stagnated in the city of Detroit. Now, y'all remember in 2013 on Duggan's campaign trail, how he was promoting that he was going to increase residency, blah, 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 a host of other things. And remember, he was going to take care of this overtax situation and he didn't. But let's talk about him increasing the residency. Well, what I have seen is that you've increased the number of Airbnbs. There are a lot of people who come to Detroit, visit Detroit, who may even stay in Detroit, but their addresses on their driver's license are not listed in Detroit. And you know, insurance is still a big issue. But this particular article is really speaking to the lack of the stagnant numbers of middle class, which is really what you need to make sure that you continue to have a more sustainable tax base and communities and things of that nature. So in this report, it says Detroit has experienced little to no growth in its middle class households since 2010. Wow, 11 years since 2010. And this is according to a nonprofit think tank. Don't kill me, Elena, if you're watching. So it's a nonprofit think tank. I believe they said there were like 500 stakeholders included in this survey. Also, and this is, this is one part. This nonprofit think tank seeks the city's revitalization. And, you know, as I'm out there, we were canvassing, you know, this weekend. Thank you. Let's hold on. Back up. The first thing I should have said is thank you to all of you who joined me this weekend. I truly appreciate you helping me to canvass. You don't know how much it means. We had a great turnout, but also we got our bang for our buck. So many people were home, and I don't care what they say. There are a lot of Detroiters who are really engaged and want to talk about what's going on. They are definitely disappointed in what they're seeing as far as the lack of leadership, especially they had a lot of choice words for city council. And people want more. They want better representation, which is really important. So I thank you for that. I thank you, Joy, Mr. Love, Larry, Smooth. I appreciate you. I forgot the other gentleman who came out there. Sister Tanya, you know you a real warrior. I had to make her go sit down. All of you, Joy Tanae, even my brother came out. I thank you all. I thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. And my sis Judy, always there on the spot. I appreciate you. So it was a great week. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday canvassing. We will continue to do this on Saturdays, and we'll pick up some days during the week. This week is just really a bad week to start canvassing in the evening, for the simple fact that I am overwhelmed with screenings and other meetings. So, but we're going to try to at least get one day in. So I had to take a break and just say thank you to all of you. And I know more of you will come out as your time permits, and we have some phone banking opportunities. So thank you. So getting back to what the article says, it says Detroit was the nation's second most impoverished big city in what year? The second. We were number 2 for poverty. What year you think that was? 2019. We just coming out of 2019, basically. We were number 2 in the entire, in the nation. We were number 2 for the most impoverished city. That's something to think about. But I want you to also put a pin in that, but then think about how the media, how they play this game with the mayor, and they want to create this narrative that, you know, oh, Detroit is booming, this, that, and the other. How is it booming and we're number 2 in the nation for poverty? You know why? Because between the mayor and city council, they continue to afford these opportunities to these contractors who don't live here, and to these contractors who don't hire Detroiters. Listen, let me tell you something. You want to talk about crime? Now, I'm not making any excuses for anybody out here committing these crimes, but I'm talking, when you're talking about robbing and stealing and all of this old crazy mess that they out here doing, it's just sick. If you want to mitigate those numbers and that rate of crime, for some of them, now some people just gonna do stupid stuff, period. But there's another group of people that are really struggling, right? They can't make it off of $8 or $9 an hour because they got families to feed. Again, no excuses. I'm not making excuses for their behavior. But what I want you to know is that we have to open up the door of economic opportunity. We have to open up the door to these jobs that make a livable wage in order to give people other options, and we're not doing that. You know, those of you who support the mayor, do you even question why he has such a high rate of people who did not live in the city of Detroit as his appointees? Do you take a look at all of these furlough days and how it's impacting them? And then you need to be challenging your city council person as well. And when they go ahead and they support these contractors who don't live here and can't show them already, before you say yes, they need to show you how many Detroiters they already have on the payroll. These opportunities are not being afforded to our people the way that they should. And I know some of y'all like, oh, she just want to talk about, you know, the white folks from the suburbs and everything. No, because it's white folks here who've been here for decades who still not getting those opportunities too. I don't know how that works. Now, y'all better learn how to use your white privilege. But I'm just saying, this is a super majority Black city. And when you see construction work, any development, when you go, and I'm going to say it again, Farmington, Royal Oak, anywhere else, you tell me the last time you seen a whole crew of Black people in those suburbs doing work. No, they would never. The leadership there, the legislative and the executive branch would never even consider giving away these contracts and these jobs to a majority of people who don't look like them and live there. This isn't a racist proposal pitch that I'm giving to you. I'm saying this is the way that it's supposed to work. The majority of our people should be afforded the opportunity to get these jobs. That's just the bottom line. You need to demand that. Those things should be non-negotiable. Yes, we have an executive order that says 51% of the jobs should go to Detroiters, but they never will go to Detroiters if we don't get a city council that's going to ask these contractors, how many Detroiters do you have employed on your payroll right now? That's the way that this works. So we could get more of these brothers and sisters who have a lot of time on their hands, because look, it's only so much DoorDash and they're going to do. And it's a respectable living. But the cost of living here is so much. These DTE bills are out of control. And I don't care. They keep going up every day. And that's a whole nother conversation we need to have about these utility companies in the city of Detroit, and how city council needs to get involved and really hold them accountable. They kill me how you keep going up on our rates every year, and then the quality of service goes down. Just like how we keep increasing the budget for public safety, but crime keep going up. I thought crime was supposed to go down. Think about it. And they're saying that in 2019, we were number 2 in the nation for impoverished cities. That's dangerous. Meanwhile, you have our local media, mainstream media, who keeps promoting this false narrative. Listen, people, everything that glitter ain't gold. It's not. And I just want you to know there is a solution available, but it's going to take real leadership, and for you to support that leadership, to tell them, you work for me. People, you work for me, not for these corporations. So that's one thing. And listen, it says we were the second most impoverished city in 2019 with 30.6. So let's just say 31%. 31% of its residents living below the poverty line, compared with Cleveland's 30.8. I think we have a higher rate of the poverty line than 30.6. But 31% is pretty high, especially when they're developing all of this affordable housing. And so you figure for one person to live in, to meet the poverty standards, you have to make around no more than $17,000 and something dollars. And the average Detroiter, we have the average Detroiter living below those standards, and you're going to tell me 31% according to these nonprofit stakeholders. Don't kill me, Elena, because I know how you feel about the nonprofit people. Maybe she's not watching today, but to say 31% of Detroiters are living below or at that poverty line is dangerous. So we don't have affordable housing for them. And we're going to talk about that. Let me tell you this Wednesday, and I'm going to post it today. I'm going to do a Zoom call, so I hope all of you can join in. I want to focus on public safety, and I also want to focus on talking about this public safety and public funds coming into the city. And so within that, we're going to talk about the money that's coming in and these tax abatements that's also being given away for this housing, of which the majority of Detroiters can't afford. So that's another thing. They talk about the several factors that contribute to the city's stagnant middle class growth, including the quality of employment. I just said something about that. Low entrepreneurship rate. But you know what's crazy? Like, Detroit is one of those cities, we full of hustlers, right? And we really are full of hustlers. But also, I mean hustlers in the context that, we'll get up and go and figure. Listen, we're a majority Black city. Now, Black folks born into the struggle. I don't care what your economic status is, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to figure your way out of a brown paper bag, and figure out how to make it happen. That's just what we have to do, right? But when we talk about entrepreneurs, I see a lot of programs within the city that talk about entrepreneurship. Do you ever ask yourself, like, what's the succession rate of that, retention rate, of that business to still keep going? There's a problem here, and I really look up on Livernois, and I've talked about this before, how many new businesses that we have. And by the time the mayor come up there and all y'all want to do is selfies and photos, instead of holding him accountable, and your district council person and your at-large council people, okay? You need to be talking business. All these selfies and smiles and letting the mayor cut the ribbon. You need to get down to brass tacks and get some business and ask some serious questions, okay? And demand some real answers. By the time they cut the ribbon, next thing you know, they out of business. And why is it that 9 times out of 10, we never see those businesses replaced with another Black entrepreneur? There's something to be said about that. I talked about this before, how we have so many suburban businesses that were recruited to come into the city. They have been allowed to sustain. Why? Not because they do business better than we do, but because they were afforded certain amenities to be able to start up their business. So they didn't start in the hole like a lot of us. That's why. Like, know how we got here, right? That's really important. A lot of us know that there's a problem, but you don't know how we got here. This is how we got here. Because they really are excluding you from real economic opportunity. Some of us, okay? Not all of us. But also, when we talk about the low entrepreneur rate, I disagree with that. I think we have a lot of people who are here, whether even if you have a consistent, a stable income coming in, there are still a lot of Detroiters who start up their own business on the side. The problem is they're not able to sustain because of the lack of resources. Now, sometimes, y'all, we need to ask for real help, but ask for assistance. Sometimes y'all want somebody to do everything for you. And that's for real. You want somebody to fill out your whole poverty tax exemption thing. You want, now if you an elder or somebody, with challenges for literacy, I understand that. But the rest of y'all are just lazy because you can make TikToks and everything else. Sit down and get disciplined and learn how to apply for some of these resources. But we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the city of Detroit. This should not be our story. And if it's our story in 2019, you better believe 2020 was a pandemic. So it's definitely our story in 2021. I want you to understand that. And so I talked about the 500 community stakeholders. It says Detroit consistently lags behind the region in economic, health, and other conditions. So, I'm the vice chair of the Detroit Charter Revision Commission. I don't know if I know I discussed it when my colleague Denzel McCampbell was on the show. Do you know within our charter, we have a few sentences talking about the health department? And you have a mayor and some city council people who don't want us to revise this charter? I mean, my goodness. A couple of sentences, a little short paragraph in a city with 800,000 people. They only going to tell you we got 600,000 or 700,000. That's because they're going to be banking it off that census. But also because what they really don't want to have to do the work to help assist that many people. So they always going to lower the number. But anyway, we're going to say we have a city of 800,000 people. And you going to tell me you have a few sentences around the health department. The reason why that's acceptable is because we are a super majority of Black and brown people, which means this city is comprised of majority people of color. And so they think that this is acceptable. So, of course, we have to be leading in the nation as one of the cities with the highest health disparities. Absolutely. And the reason why we have some of the highest rates of economic disparities, again, is because there is an intentional plan to lock us out of economic opportunity. Don't believe it when they tell you the Detroiters don't want to work. Don't believe that. You might need to start putting down another address, and I bet you they'll call you for that job a lot faster. How about that part? It says only 5% of the people living in Detroit live in the middle class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5%. 5% of Detroiters are living in the middle class. Now listen, y'all know I used to work at Ford. Now, while my parents didn't work in the plant, this is what I'm gonna tell you. The plant's been good to us. Now, my mom did work at Ford. The plants have been good to us. The automotive industry has been good to us. Okay. Especially at a certain point in time. That group, that's, in my opinion, that's what actually created the upper middle class, especially in Detroit, when some of us were able to take advantage of skilled trades, also working all of that overtime, because that's when you start making like close to 6 figures, things like that. So you gonna tell me that a city that was built off of labor and not just in the automotive industry, 5% living in Detroit now are in the middle class? Why is that? And Judy and I were just having this conversation yesterday while canvassing. We look at all of these homes around the city of Detroit. Now look, I know why y'all moved out before, black folks. I know why y'all moved out. Because you got sick of this eventful life. That's your choice. I chose to stay here. That's just my choice, right? So you move out back in the, I don't know, maybe it was the 90s. I don't know, 90s and definitely in the 2000s. And then after, when the bottom fell out of the economy, don't forget a lot of our people had to leave because they lost their homes, but a lot of people were going to get apartments also. That's another thing. A lot of Black people live in apartments outside the city, not because they want to, but because it's more affordable. So remember when I was talking about that affordable housing? So do you see how all of this is working together, how it's intentional to push our people out of the city, right? You can't even find affordable apartments in the city of Detroit. And you know what else I'm sick of? Black folks, if y'all want to live in a doggone apartment downtown, you should be able to. Like, how you about to push these people out the Martin Luther King homes? We are the Martin Luther King homes. That's what you're going to do? So now we're talking about less than 5%, again, of Detroiters qualified to be within the middle class. What is your mayor and your city council doing? We have all this money to come into this city. What they doing? Who are they giving this money to? You know who they giving it to? They're giving it to these people in the suburbs so they can continue to get them a new lawnmower so they can ride on it on all their acres of land out in the suburbs. Meanwhile, you could barely get somebody to cut the median up and down the street or to cut your grass. Do you understand how the dollars that come into this city are based off of you and I? Because when you have a certain population of people in a certain class of a certain race, there are certain dollars that are allocated from the federal government that go to the state, that come to the city. There is a certain amount of funds that are allocated from corporations, right? Because they have to be good corporate citizens now. That's what they have to be. Because of what? How many Black and brown people you have? How many people living in poverty that you have? They make all of this money off of the circumstances that you and I live in and endure. And it's a certain circumstance to be Black. It's a circumstance to be brown as well. And then you get into your economic class. So they make this money off of you in your current circumstances, but then they don't ensure that the resources get to you. They take that money and they send it back out of the city again. This has to stop. Nobody else tolerates this, is what I'm saying to you. No one. And the legislative branch, which is your city council, controls your purse strings. Now you have somebody who just did a study. Don't you think that it's dangerous that we could give hundreds of millions of dollars to Dan Gilbert to build his dream development? How in the hell a white man coming to a super majority Black city and he got a dream and he gonna get his dream, but we can't get ours? How about it's my dream not to have folks speeding up and down the street like they a maniac? How about it's my dream to have quality lighting? How about it's my dream to have decent sidewalks? How about it's my dream for you to stop taking the money out of the home repair program and put it back into the coffer that it's meant for so more of us can take advantage of it so we can have decent looking homes? How about it's my dream for you to rebuild this city instead of always talking about demolition? How about it's my dream that when I walk outside my house or when I drive up and down the street, I can see some brothers and sisters working these jobs or holding a sign, turning it from slow to stop. That's my dream. But those dreams not coming true. So you're going to let a rich billionaire white man have his dream. That's not what Martin Luther King said. He said for little Black boys and Black girls. It's a lot of little Black boys and Black girls who would like to be able to ride their bike up and down the street without having to worry about getting shot, because you know why? Crime is really decreasing in the city. That would be a dream too. Or not to have some fool charging up and down the doggone street. That's a dream too. Remember how when your mama used to let you go outside and ride your bike while she was in the kitchen, or she might be taking a nap inside? Can't even do that no more. That's a dream too. But you put those dreams on the backboard burner, City Council and Mr. Mayor. So you could do what? Afford the dreams of those who don't live here. How about it's my dream that when I walk into these establishments in my neighborhood, that I see people who look like me. I know we all for inclusion and everything. White folks here. That's not my issue. It's the lack of opportunity for our people is my issue. That's a problem. That's a very big problem. And you better get real straight, real fast, those of you who out here talking about who you gonna vote for, about what they gonna do for you. You know, this whole silence of the lambs approach that this leadership has nowadays, it's not working. You know, because they always want to tell me about my approach. So if I'm silent, then we don't get anything. So I might as well address the issue and expose what the real problem is. I think so. Work for me. But think about that. 5% of Detroiters living in middle class. That's dangerous. That's real dangerous. And this is the year, this is the opportunity that we have to change that. But think about how our dreams are just being ignored. And these are the simple things that everyone else gets in their community. That's all that we're not asking for a favor. We demanding that you do what you were elected to do. It's to represent our interests and not the interests of everyone else. That's not a lot to ask. And if it is, you need to leave your job. Period. I want to give you this other, we're going to take a caller, but let me give you this other statistic. It said 5% of the people living in Detroit live in middle class neighborhood, compared to, brace yourself for this, 59% in the region as a whole. We only have 5%, but as a whole, the average person in the region, 59% is living in middle class, and we only have 5% in the city of Detroit. You tell me about the revitalization of Detroit. You tell me about how great this mayor is. You tell me how great the supermajority of city council is. You tell me. 5% in a city this large. That's sad. That means it's a whole lot of us not getting a whole lot of opportunities, and it's real intentional. Real intentional. Let's take our caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show. You have a question or comment?
Good morning. This is Elena.
I was talking about you.
How are you? This is a good show. I wanted to just remind people that we have the petitions that Russ Belantes created for the advisory. It's an advisory petition for making the tax caps should go to the money for which they were intended, which was Detroit Public Schools, Detroit Library. So you know that 25% in Upland is going diverted into the downtown development projects. And I want you to know that the DIA and the Historical Museum and they get, and the Detroit Zoo get 100% of the tax captures that are intended for them. So in other words, Detroit is subsidizing suburban leisure, and we are losing money that goes to our schools and our libraries. We're losing it, and there's no cap on how much they can take. So this is an advisory petition. It can't change the law, but it is meant to educate. And I have the petitions, and Russ has them, and other people are asking for them.
Yeah, I talked to Russ this weekend. I'm going to get some. Let's see if we could do this. We really need to have another meeting about the CACs. Guys, I need y'all. The weather is warmer. Can more of you commit to getting these signatures for the CACs? And so while you're doing that, we could get the signatures to help out with this ballot proposal about the tax captures. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. Okay, nobody's going to come and save us. So what I'll commit to doing is I'm going to call Russ, not to today and tomorrow is crazy. Maybe I can call him this evening, Elena. And I want us to do a one-pager to simply say that currently, our taxes are going to the zoo, X, Y, and Z. So Detroiters are subsidizing the luxurious lifestyle of the suburbs. Also, we subsidizing their water, but that's a whole nother issue. So we need to get that little one-pager down so people can understand why it's so important. And I think that we will get more people to help us with this lift. So I commit to calling Russ this evening for that. And then I'll put together a Zoom because my link can hold up to 500 people. If somebody has one greater, then we can use theirs. And then we all need to talk about this, and we need to organize around it, right? We need to get district captains and everything and organize around it so we could get these signatures.
Okay, but if you could do a one-pager, and I've been using that as I get the signatures.
Oh, okay. But maybe he needs to email it to me, so I'll take a look at it. As long as it's very simple to understand, quick read, then we'll do that. Question: how many signatures do we need?
He wanted to get 5,000, and when I talked to him yesterday, he had already gotten over 1,000. But we need to really, they're going to try to keep it off the ballot. So
okay, I need to find out how many we need. I'm thinking 5 is our buffer. I'm quite sure 5 is our buffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That works.
Okay,
Did you read it?
You can inbox me.
Okay. Did you read this Detroit Future City article?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you. I know you'll love it because it's 500 stakeholders, and they're nonprofit. So I know you will love this article.
Oh yeah, of course they know best. I'm telling you that 5% of the middle class. I'm surrounded by them right here in Corktown.
Okay, we got next week, Elena. Let's make a day. I'm gonna come over and we're gonna do the show live, and we're gonna walk the neighborhood so you can show everybody what you've been talking about.
Yep, you'll think I'm making it up. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. So that's a part of the problem too. Again, you ever wonder why Duggan wins at 70%? Proposal in which he wanted wins at 70%. The millages that he wanted to keep his relationships with these peoples on these boards, like at the Detroit Zoo, which is really in Royal Oak, and at the how did we let that happen? Like, why did Detroit Zoo not at Belle Isle like a real Detroit Zoo? But anyway, then you have the DIA, and they all involved with the bankruptcy in Jones Day. But they get all of their money out of the millages, but the Detroit libraries don't. Who allows that to happen too? So this is why this petition is really important, because we have to be sick and tired of people taking advantage of us. And don't forget, those millages win by 70% too. It's a hot 70 around here. 70, 70, 70, 70, 70, 70. Now, let me tell you, if this was another city, suburbanites would take a look at that. You wouldn't just keep coming winning against something that they wanted by 70%. But this is Detroit, so couple of different issues. But again, 5% of Detroiters live in middle class as opposed to the 59% across this region. Think about that. That's very dangerous. The purpose of the report was not to make readers angry. Let me tell you what we angry about. We angry about not having quality of life issues accessible to us, like, hey, making sure we got adequate funding to educate Detroiters to read their city's constitution would make us angry, right? It makes us angry that we see so much of our money going out of the window and there are no checks and balances at city council. That makes us angry. It makes us angry that we're about to get about $1 billion into the city, $180 million for these grant for these neighborhood organizations, and another $860 million for stimulus money. How they get that stimulus money? How did they get that $860 million of stimulus money? Because of me and you. Because of me and you. Because we actually live here and have our addresses on our driver's license because we live here. That's how they got the $860 million. Now, how much of that money is going to show up in our neighborhood? Huh? How much? I don't know, because city council hasn't proposed a plan. We've been knowing about this money for a couple of months now. You still don't have a plan for how to spend it. See, that's why only 5% of us living in middle class. Because you know what? You better get an upper class standard. That's what you need to do. and stop letting them run this doggone 3-car Monty doggone game on you and put you on this Ferris wheel of bull crap. They just spin you around in a circle. You should be tired of it. I'm just saying, you deserve better, so you should vote better so you can have better. That's all that I'm telling you. 2021. You don't deserve this, people. Detroiters, you deserve better. Vote better so you can have better. That's just how it works. So it says Detroit City Future City CEO Anika Goss wrote the report. She says, we understand that the systemic racism policies in 1930s, 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s continue. Well, if y'all know all of this, why y'all keep supporting those who keep us under this state of oppression and systemic racism? See, that's my whole thing. When you know better, you're supposed to do better. Right? So you do all of this reporting, and don't forget, Annalisa was really great at really pushing this whole Detroit Future City report some years ago, and now they've done another report that shows nothing has changed. They told us before that we were going to be pushed out of this city. That's what's happening to a lot of us. So now you do another report, but you support the same representation that keep us oppressed and under these systemic under the systemic oppression and racism conditions. So you're going to report on it, but then you're not going to do any better to help us get better leadership and to change the dynamic and the trajectory of where this city is going. You're not. You're wrong for that. You're wrong for that. About 27% of all Detroit households fall in the middle class as of 2019, making it one of the worst cities in the country. Now, you just said 5%. Wait a minute. Maybe they meant 5% of the 59. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we only 5%. Excuse me. Okay, I said that wrong. Let me correct myself. We're 5% of the 59% in the region, but keep in mind, we're the largest city in the entire state. So you know we're the largest city in the entire region. So why is it that only 5% of the 59% is in Detroit and middle class? Because only 27% is what they're saying of Detroit households fall in the middle class. That's mighty low because we don't have the upper middle class, and we have a larger portion of people living in poverty. Wow. We have far more people living in poverty in Detroit, which is supposed to be the comeback city. What kind of resurgence is that? What kind of resurgence is that? That only 27% of the people are living in middle class, and I question that. I bet you we took some of them from the upper class because they out here and they like crabs in a barrel now, all fighting, to sell their community out and do anything for $1 to make them holler. I'm just saying, because they'll get out here and holler about that mayor and some of these city council people. But think about that, only 27%, so they say. I don't know if I believe it's that high, but maybe so. Of Detroit. And we're only 5% of the region. If we're only 5% of the region, we're the largest city in the entire state. How are we only 5% of the middle class out of the entire region? How does that work? And how does the mayor get credit for doing such a great job? Because you know what? It's the oppression of a majority of people of color. That's why. How does city council, those supermajority of city council, keep getting applauded for pathetic leadership? How does this happen? We have to share this information. 80%. Okay, so 40% of the households in the entire region are in the middle class, blah, 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 households. Let's get to the money. Nationally, about 39% of all households were considered middle class in 2019. The median household income in Detroit is $33,970. No, it's not. No, it's not. It couldn't be. It couldn't be when city council always approving development for affordable housing and you got to make about $56,000 a year. Oh, no. That couldn't be. $33,000 a year. I don't believe that's the average median income, but let's just go with it because we know average Detroiter, they make it below 30. They making around $25,000 or less, and that's just a fact. But if it was $33,970 is the average median income for Detroit, then why is it that all of this affordable housing that's being approved by the city council, that 20% of the units are allocated for affordable housing? So why do you have to make $50-some thousand a year? What type of representation is that? Explain that to me. Explain that to me. That you would support as someone who's supposed to be a public servant for the people and govern yourself accordingly to ensure that the people's interest is represented, that you would support all of this affordable housing with our tax dollars, right? Even poor people, okay? Even as poor folks, tax dollars go to what? Tax subsidies so they could do what? Build affordable housing, but for whom? Because it's sure not the people who fall in the average median income. If the average median income is just a step above the poverty line, right? That means that there's a greater need to ensure that affordable housing includes this group of people. But what city council has done is literally single-handedly excluded a vast majority of Detroiters who are in need of affordable housing. How is that your job? Put that on your literature so we can know who you are. This is what they should say, those people on city council who running again. You should say, I commit to ensuring that there is a lack of affordable housing for the average Detroiter. Next bullet point. I commit to ensuring that corporate welfare is at an all-time high while the people's interest is buried under the bottom of the Detroit River somewhere. They should also put on their campaign literature, I commit to making sure that we destroy the majority of economic opportunities for Detroiters and make sure that we afford greater opportunities to others. That's what should be on their literature. Now, when they come talking to you about how, we're going to clean up the neighborhoods, well, clean them up. You got damn near $1 billion. I say, and we're going to talk about this on Wednesday, what they need to do with this money. Like how my neighborhood need to look better and how all these neighborhoods in every district should have tremendous improvement starting this year. Period. If you don't, and you let these people stay in office, in addition to that, you are insane. You are insane. You cannot continue to vote against your best interests. These numbers are alarming, but the only way that we're going to change it is if we demand more. We have to increase our standards. So, you know how they say some people got champagne taste on a beer budget? Well, look, we got some folks living in poverty, but they're going to have a lot of nice things. I'm not saying poor people shouldn't have nice things, personally. That's not my issue. But if your standards of taste is to want Louis Vuitton, Yves Saint Laurent, any of that, that's your standard, right? That's what you want. Your budget just may not reflect that. Then you should have high standards for your leadership and your quality of life, is what I'm saying. It's the same thing. Like, you don't have to be rich to have these standards that want quality leadership, people. Step your game up. Stop letting them come in here chinning and grinning in your face when you know that they don't speak to the issue. That's the problem. That is the problem. Speaking of elections, because it's almost time for me to go. Oh, wait a minute. White households are more likely to be considered middle class in Detroit. Oh, in Detroit, 35% of the white households. Ooh, listen to this. In Detroit, 27% of the households, according to this report, are qualify as middle class. But also in Detroit, 35% of the white households live in middle class. So that means they the vast majority of this 35%. I mean, it's 27% of middle class. 35% of white households were middle class compared to 28% of Hispanic and 26% for African Americans. Now listen here, Black folks. You the super majority. The Hispanic community even got 28% of their households living in middle class, and we only got 26. Y'all know we gonna have to do something around here. You got 35% of the white folks living in middle class. Then you got 28% of the Hispanics, and it's only 26% of the black folks, and we the majority of the city. Oh, Lord, help us. Oh, goodness. I'm going to laugh from crying because I can't even believe this. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning, Nicole.
Hey, Kitty.
Always hit the nail on the head with the subject that's surrounding the city of Detroit. It's about the people waking up, our black people. I'm not going to say people, I'm going to say black folks, because we want to catch them out of the hell in the city right here. And one of the things that we have to do, we put these people in place, and we don't hold their feet to the fire.
Yeah.
It's just like we got district managers just not letting people in our neighborhood do the things that need to be done, and it don't take money to do it. People cry about money, but it don't take money to clean up. You know, you've seen it firsthand over here where I live at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's something that we have to get out in full force. I don't know why black folks don't want to come out in full force. You get a twos and fews that come out that's fighting for this big old city that's 80 to 85% black, and we won't come out. And you know, it's sad. You know what I'm saying? People get so comfortable with what they're doing to them. I don't understand that. I don't understand how black folks like that. Whatever happened to the real black
That's
folks?
right.
They used to go really good.
Yeah.
They're quiet in the city. So we should be ready to well with this mayor and the city council, getting out the vote, getting them out of office. We need you in there. We need Anthony Allen in there. We need to get governors and all these old fake out of these positions in the city that's starving our people in the community. I don't understand how they happy with that. That's crazy.
But you know what, Kenny? I also think something else is going on. So I've been in senior homes. We've been canvassing, and you know how we are, Kenny. We go to meetings all across the city anyway. Okay, this don't have nothing to do with an election. It's just that now I really have to get to more people's doors. I say and we've been doing phone banking. It amazes me how 70% of the city supports the mayor. And when we get to the district voting for city council, they win by great numbers. But when you go into these communities, and I'm not just saying this because you know I am not a fan of the mayor, but honestly, it's like pulling teeth to find somebody to tell you that they support him. Now, you know, you always have a few who bamboozle. They can't tell you why, except for we need a white man. I got a neighbor like that. She'll argue you down about, well, we need somebody white. You need somebody white to lead black people. Okay. So anyway, literally it's the color of his skin for some people, and some people are paralyzed with fear. Now, I'm not saying there's not one on the block, but if I talk to 16 people on the block and only one of them is a diehard talking about they support Duggan, I want to know, how does he get this 70%? And then when you go into the districts, you find so many people in some of these districts who are so disappointed with their leadership, with the quality of leadership. How are these people getting all of these votes? So we have an issue with the elections too, and maybe it's that we don't have enough informed, but you see what happened last week. We got a candidate that didn't know that he was off the ballot until somebody called him, because we all were made aware on that call. And you mean to tell me the deadline was April the 20th and he didn't find out until May 13th from somebody else? So we need to get people out to vote, but I think that we need to make sure they're informed too. Some of them we just not gonna win, Kenny, because they don't want no better. They want to stay on the plantation.
Over there, we all know that. And people just, I guess, like I said, they don't want to hold their feet to the fire, Nicole. It's sad that our people is like that. You know what I'm saying? Now give away something free and see how many come out.
Yep.
Give something away free.
Yep.
Coupons and get free stuff. Then they come line, raising his hand, pushing in line, getting in line. You ought to be doing that for voters.
You really should. You really should.
I'm not gonna hold you.
All right.
I'm gonna continue to listen and be blessed, and we got you.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. That's another thing. We got all these district managers, like all of this money that's going to district managers, and a lot of them will not be responsive to all of the citizens. So, one thing that I said too, people ask me like, why are you running at large instead of running in your district? Because some people feel like I really would stand a strong chance of beating the incumbent. Okay, I get that. But the problem is we need someone who's going to care about the people at large, right? And actually be a voice to advocate, to demand that some of the solutions, see, there are solutions to a lot of these issues, but nobody's saying that we don't have, look, we need somebody at the table. Brenda Jones gone. So you're going to have somebody at the table to at least say something for the people, and not just say yes or no. I mean, to push some solutions. Let me envision this for city council. Just let me walk you through this. It's 9 members, okay? Within those 9 members, we see that there is a supermajority of the same 6, all of the men and Councilwoman Ayers, who consistently hand over a yes vote to whatever the mayor wants. Doesn't matter how what do I want to say? It doesn't matter how much of a negative impact it will have to the people, or how unbeneficial it will be to Detroiters, right? If the mayor wants it, they'll support it. So I say this lemon ginger tea got me burping. I'm sorry. So Brenda Jones isn't coming back for re-election this year. That's what I mean, and she's gone. So she won't be on the ballot. So I say this. It's one thing to support the people with the yes vote for what they need. It's another thing to push solutions to the table. So imagine if I say I'm not supporting an issue, and I tell you that I'm not supporting a proposal. State Fairgrounds, for example. I'm not going to support the selling of the State Fairgrounds 150 acres because of what? There has been no bid process. And Amazon will be renting, not owning. And you see how these narratives get out here, these false narratives? Think about it. How many people I talked to this weekend who think that Amazon bought the State Fairgrounds? Amazon did not buy the State Fairgrounds. It's the Ross Perot's company in Texas that bought it, along with, you got Gary Targo from Sterling Group, and the guy who's the chairman of the board for the TCF, who does a lot of different deals for Amazon, I guess, across the country or whatever, throughout Michigan, however, whatever. What I'm saying to you is that all of this land was sold to a company in Texas with no bid process. So if it was me as a city council person, which is what I tried to do on the side, on a smaller scale, is say this: hey, number one, we need to put this up for bid because it's a city property and we need transparency. Number one. Number two, if this deal is so great, which is what those city council people who supported it said, it's going to bring jobs. They use that line all the time. It's going to bring jobs. It's like a man who keep doing wrong. I just want to tell you he's sorry. You sorry, all right? Listen, it's going to bring jobs, but bring jobs to whom? Is it bringing jobs to Detroiters? Because we don't really see that happening, and especially not on a long-term scale. Even when Flexingate brought jobs, a lot of those people were gone in 6 months to a year, and then they brought in the other people from the suburbs that they really wanted. So, okay, I would say I don't support this without a bid. Not that I don't support the selling of the State Fairgrounds, but there needs to be a bid process in place so Detroiters can see how their money is being spent. Okay, I mean how the bid process is going and how money is being handed over in selling of a city asset, not money being spent. 2, if Amazon is only going to sit on 83 to 87 acres out of the 150 something acres, that's fine. Like, this is where we're going to compromise and we're going to negotiate, okay? Now, I'm not no big fan of Amazon. I get it about their poor working conditions and everything, but just y'all who going to be on the rampage for that, just hold on and just bear with me for a second. I would have said, so you got Amazon to commit, right, to renting this space and developing a warehouse on that deal and to bring jobs into the city. 2, I would make sure that some of that work would go to labor, our unions, but also that these contractors would be committed to hiring Detroiters. I need to see that up front before I say yes, right? That's 4 things. Here's the 5th thing. We ain't selling nobody in Texas no 150 something acres right here smack dab in the middle of some prime real estate at the corner of 8 Mile and Woodward, fool. Before I open up this bid to allow, out of those 158 acres, if Amazon take 83, you got what? Another 70 acres left? 60 something, 80. You're going to have to show me where you at least allow some Detroit developers to at least get 15 of those acres. There was no reason to sell all 150 something acres to Ross Perot's company. And then they could take their other 30 something acres left over and do whatever they want to do with it. So now you got Amazon. Now you got some Detroit developers, which some of them going to have to be black, right? Who get 15 or 20 acres over there, and then Ross Perot's company and Sterling Group can do whatever they want to do with their other 30 some acres, because technically they own the property that Amazon is sitting on and renting. So they're going to generate revenue from that. Nobody says these things. You just say yes. You just hand over some prime real estate to a company out of state. They say everything bigger down there anyway. So what you need to come up here and get our land for. But nobody said that. So now you would allow for Amazon to get what they want, Gary Targo to Sterling Group to get what he want, them folks in Texas, the Perots, to get what they want. But Detroiters will also benefit. Where are Detroiters' benefits baked into that deal? And that's what I'm saying to you. This is the leadership that you need. We don't just hand over everything. You done hand it over to water. You done hand it over Belle Isle. You done hand it over Copa. You about to hand over the Port Authority too. You hand it over property, hand over fist at such a rapid rate, and then we can barely buy a lot here. That is not people who are representing your best interest. I said we have to do business differently in this city. Government has to operate to where they understand when you come to that table, when you sit up there on that dais, that you are representing the interest of the people. You can attract businesses to come here and still represent the interest of the people. You know who did it best? Former Mayor Coleman A. Young. But I'm going to tell you something else before I get off of here about these people running for office. You might like them. Okay, you might have known some of them for a long time. But if you don't see them up front and out front on the front line, speaking to what should happen with solutions and also addressing these issues vocally, I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do it if they get elected. That's the problem that I have. We all like a lot of people around here, okay? But that don't mean that they the best person for the job. If they gonna sit and be quiet, you know, silence a lot of times means that you consent to the wrong that's going on. And if you haven't seen Detroit, we got a host of issues. I don't care how much you like them in another capacity that they may have worked in, or even in this capacity that they working for. I want you to think about the last time you done seen them people out there on the front line. Pandemic was just in 2020. You need to think about that. We have to have some people up there who will at least speak some of these solutions and these demands into existence. That's the only way that we're going to create more opportunity for Detroiters. That's the only way, people. Just being quiet and playing nice. See, this is what they want. They want a war to be packaged in a nice, pretty box with a bow on it. War of the Roses mean it's a war and somebody gonna be getting cut with some thorns, okay? It's not that you just smelling the roses. That's not how it works. And we have too much at stake this year. for the future of this city to sit back and be talking about who you like. That's not what this is about. Who gonna do the job? Now, you know we're not gonna have a primary for city council except for at-large district 1, 4, and 7. We're not gonna have a primary for any of those other races. That's dangerous. The fact that y'all letting people not being challenged, something is wrong with that. With the representation that we're receiving, and you're not challenging these people in these other races, but some people did get kicked off the ballot. So, that's one thing. And a lot of these board of police commissioner meetings, like all of this hell that y'all raised about the police department, and we barely got anybody running for board of police commissioners. See, this is when the other side say, see, all they doing is just talking. That's a very important seat, board of police commissioners. And when we pass this charter, the board of fire commissioners is going to be equally as important. It's only so much that I can do. It's only so much that the other advocates who are really being vocal can do. We need y'all to do something too. We got a problem with policing in this city. It may not be to the degree as other cities, but it is an issue. We need real civilian oversight. Come on now, let's do better. I'm saying I'm putting myself into that bracket too. Like, let's do better. I want y'all to win. I want us to win. I'm tired of when you go to a decent looking neighborhood, and every neighborhood has its challenges. It's only a small little pocket, and then next thing you know, you got somebody looking like they living in the city of Beirut. That's not right either. And we got to demand more of our neighbors too. If we get this stuff fixed up, where they going to use this money to start cleaning up the city, this $1 billion that they about to get coming in here, because if ain't nobody talking about hiring some Detroiters and renting some dumpsters to come clean up this city in every community, I'm going to really lose it, okay? We need to clean the city up. But when we clean it up, we need more people to support pushing back against our neighbors who don't do the right thing. And if you got somebody buying these houses and they not fixing them up, that part too. Like, let's stop talking about it and be about it. But pay attention to who you voting on. We will start to have more candidates on the show. So a couple of things before we leave. Wednesday at 6 p.m. I will be doing Small for Detroit campaign. We'll be having a Zoom. I'm going to post it today. Those of you who emails I have, if you go to my website, elect Nicole Small, electnicolesmall.com, then you can subscribe if I don't have your email address, and you will get an email with the Zoom link. So that will be this Wednesday at 6 o'clock. We're going to talk about public funds and public safety. So I want to keep it to those two things. Our meetings are usually only an hour and a half. I know everybody is overwhelmed with Zoom. Eventually, we're going to start doing some meet and greets in the district too. So don't worry about that when the weather's a little bit more consistent, right? And we could get outside. So that's one thing. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., Fannie Lou is having a candidate forum for at-large council people only. I don't know how many of us committed to doing it, but I will be on there. So make sure that you log on. You get to see, what my platform is compared to the other candidates' platform. And we'll see what happens, right? I'm definitely going to be the voice of the people, and I'm going to be the voice of the people to where, if and when elected, I'm not going to change that part, right? This is about you. My name might be on the ballot, but really and truly, this campaign is about you. I know that you deserve better. I know you can have better. But if you have time tomorrow at 6 o'clock, let me just double check something really quick. I believe it's on Zoom for Fannie Lou, because we have to go in person. So it will be streamed live. So I'll try to find somebody to I'll send it live on my Facebook feed, and I'll have my other person to send it live on my other 2 pages. Okay, so. Yep, there go Angela. She's running for District 2. She doesn't have a primary either. It's just her and Roy, so she will advance to the general election. But Angela, we're going to have you on the show so you could talk about your candidacy. So that's what I really want to start getting into. We have 78 days, people, before August the 3rd. That's the election day, 78 days. So that's why I have to get off of here early. I have a lot of stuff to do for the campaign. But please know I am still committed to you. It's just that we are down to the wire. And it seemed like we the only ones out there, just a few of us. I don't know. I guess everybody feel comfortable because they don't have to run a primary. Well, I'm still committed to you. I believe you deserve to hear my platform. If I don't get to your door, please don't just listen, we have limited time and limited resources, but we are coming in every district. I want you to know that. And if you want me to come in your neighborhood and you will walk your block with me, okay, because I need you to give me some credibility to your neighbors. If you will walk your block with me, I will come to your neighborhood. So you can email me at Nicole, Nicole, at electnicolesmall.com, Nicole at electnicolesmall.com. Also, I'm asking if, you know what I mean, if you mobile, if you could commit to at least doing 5 blocks for me, both sides of the block, that really would help out. Let's make it worth our while. If you're older or whatever, you just willing to take me to some of your neighbors, then we can finish up the rest of the blocks in that neighborhood ourselves. But I'm going to tell you now, if you upright and mobile, you're going to have to commit to at least 5 blocks with me. That's at least, right? At least. So tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I'll be on the live stream with the Fannie Lou NAACP candidate forum. Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and I'll be posting this Zoom link. The Small for Detroit team, we will be having a Zoom meeting about public safety and public funds. I appreciate all of you so much, so very much. I will see you tomorrow and Wednesday, and then I'll see you back here again on Monday. Be safe and have a great day. Bye.
You voted, now what? You Voted Now What LLC is a social impact marketing firm for the business person looking for bold strategies to unleash the buying power of our community. That's social impact marketing. Find more info at info@youvotednowwhat.com. Mention the Nicole Small Show for a 15% discount. That's right. Email info@youvotednowwhat.com for more information. And remember, get your souls to the polls August 3rd, 2021 for the Detroit mayoral election.